anybody watching this that, let's say, loved Batman Forever and went into Batman and Robin with great anticipation, if I disappointed them in any way, then I really want to apologize, because it wasn't my intention. My intention was just to entertain them.
What killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
What?
What? Where are you?
Here.
After the release of Batman and Robin, Warner Brothers ran into a massive problem. The two biggest superhero IPs they had were run into the ground. The studio had so much faith in Batman and Robin prior to its release that they even greenlit a sequel before it came out, which they had to scrap due to the poor reception of the movie. The plan wasn't to wait almost a decade to have Batman return, but Warner Brothers kept rejecting scripts and ideas for the character, probably because if they released another Batman flop, it would have definitely killed the character. Back in the early 2000s, reboots weren't a thing, so ideas were brought up on how to get around the issue, such as a live-action Batman Beyond, a Batman v Superman movie, but both ideas were shelved, as with many others. The studio was waiting for the right man, which they found in Christopher Nolan, and he went on to change the entire landscape of superhero movies. What we got was a film that understood and respected the character. There are many reasons as to why Batman Begins is a great film, but this video will focus on two particular things: the origin story and the world building. In the summer of 1989, Tim Burton's Batman was released, and since then 3 other live-action Batman movies were released, but none spoke about the origin of the hero. 89, you saw the origin of the Joker. Batman Returns gave us the story of Oswald Cobblepot. You also had the origin of the Riddler, as well as Poison Ivy. You even saw the origin story of Bane, the greatest villain we've ever seen on the big screen. Batman Forever hinted at the origin slightly, but didn't focus enough on it. Nolan wanted to change this. Now, this wasn't a groundbreaking idea, as superhero movies had done this in the past, with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, as well as a movie that influenced Nolan and Superman the movie. But the direction that Nolan took the origin story was much deeper. It starts with Bruce Wayne as a child, falling into a well, and is caught in a swarm of bats. His father comes to get him, but Bruce is left with the fear of bats. This is followed by the Wayne family going to see a play, and because of this fear, young Bruce has to leave early, which results in the parents This alone is enough of an origin story, and nobody would have blinked an eye if after that scene you fast forward to older Bruce Wayne donning the cape and cowl, but that's not what happens. Next, Bruce returns to Gotham in his college years to kill the man that killed his parents, and now it's a different Bruce Wayne. One that is bitter and angry, with the only goal being
justice.
However, the satisfaction gets taken away from him because of the corruption in Gotham and the man that controls the city, Carmine Falcone. Falcone explains to Bruce that he has no idea of what he's getting himself into, so Bruce goes to fix that by becoming a criminal. He leaves Gotham not knowing where he's going, but now he has a different goal: to understand the criminals that he wants to stop. You see, earlier he wanted vengeance, but that didn't go well. The conversation with Falcone made him realize that he has to change his methods to fix the problem in Gotham. Bruce, during this phase, actually develops empathy for the criminals.
You start to pity them?
First time I stole so that I wouldn't starve. Yes, I lost many assumptions about the simple nature of right and wrong.
And later on attracts the attention of the League of Shadows, where they teach Bruce the advanced combat skills that Batman has, as well as many of the tools Bruce goes on to use to fight crime in Gotham. It is here where fear is brought to the attention of Bruce and how it can be used.
You feel your anger, the drive to do great, terrible things. Now, you must journey inwards. You are ready. Breathe.
You see the evolution of the character. When Bruce is asked to kill a criminal by the League, he can't do it. If this was Bruce when he wanted vengeance against Joe Chill, he would have executed the criminal, but after the journey that he's been on, understanding criminals and their nature, the deep-rooted issues that cause this to happen, Bruce isn't able to go through with it.
I'm no executioner.
Your compassion is a weakness your enemies will not share.
That's why it's so important. It separates us from them.
You want to fight criminals? This man is a murderer.
This man should be tried.
By whom? Corrupt bureaucrats? Criminals mock society's laws. You know this better than most.
You also have to keep in mind that Bruce Wayne is a trust fund baby born into wealth. He's never experienced any of this in his life, which Falcone explains to him. Bruce's goal was to change this when he left Gotham, and that he achieved. This movie came out in 2005, so I'm fairly confident that all of you have seen this, so you also know the origin still isn't done. He returns to Gotham with a plan, but he doesn't accomplish it overnight. There's more planning that has to be done, from getting the equipment, setting up the Batcave, understanding the politics of Gotham, trying to get Gordon's trust. You get the idea. It takes around 1 hour and 3 minutes, almost halfway through the movie, before we finally see the Dark Knight and declare that
I'm Batman.
that is an origin story worthy of the character. Again, the idea of an origin story is not something new, but the difference in the depth of the origin is where Batman Begins stands out, taking the time to show all of the phases Bruce goes through before becoming Batman. The origin story is not the only reason why the film feels larger than other comic book movies. The amount of screen time the supporting characters have in this movie is another standout feature. Some of these characters we have already seen before in previous Batman movies, but not like this. Let's start with Alfred. The role that Alfred plays in the movie is completely different from previous films. Prior, it felt like he was just Bruce's assistant, handling little chores for him and reminding him of important news. In Nolan's movie, there's more of a connection between the characters, and a lot of that has to do with him being there in all of Bruce's origin stories, which was shown from him being a small child to being bitter and wanting vengeance, helping him become Batman, but most importantly, making sure he does not forget that he is Thomas Wayne's son.
We need to send these people away now.
Those are Bruce Wayne's guests out there, sir. You have a name to maintain.
I don't care about my name.
It's not just your name, sir. It's your father's name. And it's all that's left of him. Don't destroy it.
That he has another side besides Batman, other responsibilities that he must uphold. He does not want Bruce to be consumed by what he's created, a role that most likely his parents would have played in his life. Alfred is the only connection that he has to his previous life, while also playing a major role in his current life.
Years to come, it will be wise to find a suitable excuse. Polo, for instance.
I'm not learning polo, Alfred.
Strange injuries and non-existent social life. These things beg the question as to what exactly does Bruce Wayne do with his time and his money.
What does someone like me do?
Oh, drive sports cars, date movie stars, buy things that are not for sale. Who knows, Master Wayne? You start pretending to have fun, you might even have a little by accident.
Next is Jim Gordon. Gary Oldman's Jim Gordon is one of my favorite portrayals of a comic book character. From the way he was written to the acting by Oldman himself, everything about the character is handled with care. Oldman was actually considered for the role of Ducart, but he didn't want to be a villain, and so Nolan offered him the role of Commissioner instead. Nolan wanted the character of Gordon to be more than what he was in the past movies. Nolan wanted to explore the integrity of the character, and wanted a high-caliber actor to help bring this version of Gordon to life. Gordon in the film and in the comics is the one officer in Gotham who isn't corrupt. This is never explored in the past movies. Prior, he was pretty much helpless and needed Batman to do everything. The character of Gordon is much deeper than simply being another police officer who can't do anything to solve the crime in his city. The reason that it's difficult and Gordon needs Batman's help is because of the corruption. The reason that Batman needs Gordon's help is also corruption. Batman trying to do everything himself would make the process much more difficult. Having a trusted ally in the GCPD was an important part of the prep work Bruce did when he was planning his return as Batman. Jim Gordon's character is integral to saving Gotham at the end of the movie. The movie isn't fixated just on Batman. Gordon goes through a character arc on his own, albeit a mini one compared to Batman and Bruce Wayne, of course. In the beginning, you see how distraught Gordon is. His partner Flash is completely corrupt, and it's Not just him, but the entire GCPD. Gordon himself has integrity and is incorruptible, but even he can lose faith, as how much change can he really make just by himself? When Batman appears, his first instinct is to take him down. Makes sense, but as time goes on, his feelings change.
Commissioner Love set up a massive task force to catch you. He thinks you're dangerous.
What do you think?
I think you're trying to help. But I've been wrong before.
And by the end, it turns into Jim wanting to show gratitude. This, partnered with the scenes from earlier, give Gotham some life, as it's not just about Batman. Lucius. The character of Lucius Fox, played by Morgan Freeman, is a fantastic addition to the trilogy. It once again adds to the world, but this character adds great value to Bruce's origin. The character and the values that he's written with actually have meaning. Yes, Bruce gets his tech and gadgets from him, but that's not the main point. The point being that Lucius quite honestly doesn't care what he's doing with this tech, even though he knows, and it's not a doesn't care because he doesn't like him type of deal, since he's clearly going through a lot of shit to keep his secret. He's not doing it just because he's Bruce Wayne and Lucius works at Wayne Enterprise, because he got fired and he still helps. He helps in a massive way by making the antidote that saves Bruce, and then by making enough for Batman to carry out the plan. Just like with Gordon, he becomes an integral part of the finish. The character arc for Lucius is quite interesting, as it's him acquiring the trust of Bruce. Now maybe I'm looking too deep into this, but I think it's still interesting to bring up. In the beginning, Bruce approaches Lucius with all of these crazy stories and excuses for getting the tool that he needs, but as trust is gained, the level of responsibility increases as well. Maybe the big payoff is actually in The Dark Knight, when he's directly assisting Batman with God's Eye, but the foundation of that trust was laid in Batman Begins, when he decides to help him out and not ask questions, when he pretty much tells Bruce that he doesn't need to make up stories to get what he needs, when he's still helping Bruce Wayne out even though he got fired, and when he tells him that he knows, but also doesn't.
Fox. Yes, sir.
If you're uncomfortable.
Mr. Wayne, if you don't want to tell me exactly what you're doing when I'm asked, I don't have to lie. But don't think of me as an idiot.
Fair enough.
As the films progress, you can also see the value of Gordon, Alfred, and Lucius, because others that Bruce trusted end up hurting him. Chris Nolan wanted the Batman project because he felt that there was a story that was yet to be told of the character. The plan was not to make a trilogy of movies, but to make one movie. One story. The story of Bruce Wayne and how Batman Begins.